Hey guys,
Hey.
it's Shannon, and we are using for our current event. Um,
What happened over the weekend?
exactly is a situation where two Caucasian little girls between the ages of 5 and 10 received two black dolls, and the response was tearful anger. They rejected those dolls. They threw the dolls back at the mom, and mom proceeded to laugh during these events. And we wanted to kind of reflect and compare that situation, that event, that video to what we call the Hardiman white racial identity development model, and it has 5 stages. We're going to do a cap on the stages. It's naivete, acceptance, resistance stage, and then redefinition stage, and then the last is the internalization stage.
Hey, so I'm doing the stage 1 of naivete. So I do not know all the dynamics of how these children were raised or whatnot, but just perceiving what I saw, it looks like those two little girls were raised to not view African Americans and blacks in a positive manner. When they looked at the dolls initially and they saw that their color was black, the way they looked at it, it made me believe that they view black as a negative. They view the dolls as ugly. They did not accept the dolls in a positive manner at all. Just even receiving it as a gift. First reaction, they look at it, oh, it's black. So what does that mean? Is that doll not beautiful? Is that doll not worthy of acceptance?
So what Shannon talked about was she stopped at acceptance, which is obviously the second piece of the model. Acceptance in regards to the identity of whiteness, or the Hardman's white development model. Acceptance was coming from the concept of you accept your nationality, you accept who you are, and the understanding is that you kind of pull yourself up by your bootstraps. However, that concept is not relative to society, particularly in the United States of America, because to actually pull yourself up, you have to be standing on a level playing field. And that was obviously indicated that it was not level, because they would have been receptive to those dolls as opposed to rejecting those dolls, which obviously always leads us into the next stage, what we know is to be the resistance stage.
So as Shannon was saying, I'm doing the resistance stage of the model. So just tying in about the resistance stage, it sparked a thought of it's basically the racial awakening. So for these two little girls, since they already had the initial idea of what blackness is and what African Americans or black as a whole mean to them, when they actually become of age and start networking with children of different races, that's going to be an issue. So it kind of makes me believe once they get into schooling, which is probably going to be one of their, not say their first interaction, but maybe their first interaction in that kind of close knit setting. How are they going to act with a black child playing with maybe their doll? Are they going to reject that child as, oh, well, I don't want to play with you? Or are they going to be like, oh, she plays just like me, she talks just like me? How are they going to have a healthy interaction if they're already displaying, I don't like you based on how you look?
So, so we transition now from the resistance stage of I don't necessarily want to play with you because of my understanding of blackness, the African American phenotype. So we're moving right now into the redefinition stage. Well, I don't necessarily want to play with you because you don't like me. See, it's a reversal at this point. This concept of, well, I don't necessarily like you because there is such a negative stigma about you. I'm rejecting to who you are. I'm rejecting your identity because you replacing it on the black child, or not just the black child but the other ethnicity, that you are the one that is different. So I'm trying to refrain from acting and interacting with you. So basically, this whole concept of I don't want to be around you because you make me feel uncomfortable. So that's the redefinition. It's no longer that it takes away from that you as white culture has the problem. It's that the black child has the problem. So we're kind of just reflecting on the last stage, which is the internalization stage, which is basically you're no longer just coming off the premise of what you've been acculturated to or assimilated to, what you have been taught to believe. At this time, we're taking pieces and parts of different puzzles and making our own system of beliefs. And with this concept of whiteness, with the dolls in particular, they may have kind of just internalized that it's okay to laugh at somebody that's different from me and it's okay to reject it. And not only that, but I see myself as right. What's your thoughts, Shannon?
As an internalization for them, um, I look at it as a way of they may be confused, as in where to go next. Like once they get over the stages that we referred to, they may have that sense of, well, what do I do? How do I deal with the feelings that I previously had of how I felt towards Black people or African Americans or even towards myself?
Right.
So dealing with those emotions internally and not lashing out or performing a different behavior is important. So them actually identifying how they feel and being able to verbalize it is
Right.
important.
So, in essence, that is the 5 stages, and they're relatable to anybody who's experiencing or comes from a concept of whiteness or is whiteness. And it's something that you should digest and look into.
Okay, so feelings as messengers. Feelings as messenger, it's related to a Afrocentric history. Also, with feelings as messenger, it's circular, so it's always revolving and growing. It's also linear as a way. So you can be in one stage and go to the next, or you can be in 2 stages at a time. It really doesn't matter. It's all based upon your feelings and validating how you feel. So feelings that I feel scared because I don't know how the children in the future, or even the children now that are growing up, how are they gonna read Blackness, or even with their own culture? How are they gonna view multicultural dimensions? So the fact that those children laughed at it, and maybe they were raised to laugh like that, it concerns me and it scares me for our future and how our children's going to be. I'm mad because I feel violated. I feel violated because, when you look at that black doll, what do you see? What do you think? Are you trying to say when you look at a black child, you think that he or she is ugly, he or she is inferior, he or she is incompetent, or they're not worthy to be in your presence? I feel sad because it is a loss of respect. It's a loss of dignity. It doesn't take away from my dignity per se, but it's disrespectful towards my culture. It's disrespectful towards my ethnicity and where I come from. So these are my feelings as messengers.
So for me, what I feel is sadness, or sad. I feel sad because there is a loss of, this whole concept for me of being a human being. That whole concept of loving people for who they are, irrespective of differences, whether it be skin tone, whether it be tone of voice, whatever it may be. There's a loss there, and it is not stopped. It is continues to perpetuate throughout society. There should be a feeling of connectedness and togetherness as opposed to separation and division. So I'm sad about that, particularly within the younger generation. And then, of course, I'm mad because of the violation. The violation that people, no matter what they look like, are not accepted. It is a fallacy to believe that someone is not accepted because they're not good enough based off of what they look like as opposed to the content of their heart. These concepts that were, developed not just by and spoken upon by Martin Luther King, but people prior to him. Different individuals that were activists. I'm mad that we're still at this place in 2016 that I still have to talk about these things. Not saying that there's no validity and it doesn't hold true. I'm just mad that we haven't evolved as a people, human race. That's how I see it. Yeah. So, for the different feelings, mad, sad, and scared, and we all had one or two or all in common. For the mad piece, we need to set limits and reestablish boundaries. So for me, is I'm not gonna allow negativity in reference to race and discrimination get into me as as an individual. What are you gonna do for you so you won't get mad?
For myself, it's more of self-care and teaching, my children or even the children in my community about being proud to be who you are as a person, where you come from. Just more of, yeah, self-care and empowering others and just putting the knowledge out there and tearing down, the barriers of ignorance.
So for the needed support, space, time, grieve, and let go, the need, I need my community to be supportive, and I need other people's communities to be supportive. Space, allow me to feel what I'm feeling. Allow my community to feel what they're feeling. Time to grieve, allowing me to mourn the fact that a sense of humanity has been, ostracized for so many years. And then to let it go, like, okay, this is what's happening, and it continues to happen, and I have to understand that it's a reality, but I don't have to be a victim of that reality. So what about you and your needs for support, space, time to grieve, and let it go?
I need time to grieve a little bit and just work on certain things that, I guess, seeing the video, how it touched me internally. So deal with my feelings, hug my mom, hug my family, and just let them know how much I love them.
Right.
Thank them for supporting me. Yeah, just embracing my family and just life.
Right. So what about for you, because you spoke on being scared, you said you need protection, support, and reassurance. What exactly does that look like for you?
I need protection as in the way that I know our future is sacred and that it will be secure. Protection in a way that when I have my children, I don't have to worry as much of them having hurt feelings and may not want to come to mommy and telling me how their day was because another girl of another race or color told them they were ugly, or why are you in my seed, or just anything that has anything to do with ignorance just because of how they look. Like, just protection on making sure when I do have children, even for my nieces or nephews, that they can grow up in a society where they are not looked at as inferior because of how they look.
Right.
So just knowing that they're going to be okay.
So we talked about the different experiences of those feelings. So now we're not going to just leave it there. We're going to take it to a place of creative empowerment.
Yes.
So what do you think, Shannon, what we can do to cause a change, be that change agent within the community as a global citizen, to make a difference for people that are experiencing these type of discriminations?
We need to work with the youth and work with our children, their friends, with the community, build on programs that are already existing and maybe even creating new programs that aren't there. Just putting the knowledge out there and just letting them know, like, you are somebody. No matter how you look, no matter what's going on with you, don't let no one tear you down over just ignorance or whatnot. So just inform the kids, also their parents, getting it community wholesome involved, and just spreading the knowledge and power. So I feel like just spreading empowerment and also doing that empowerment piece for ourselves too, to keep us going.
Okay.
But what about you?
What I would definitely say is I would love to have a community event and invite everybody of every ethnicity, nationality, race, whatever word that you can use as a descriptor to separate individuals. Bring them together. Play different types of music. Have like a potluck environment. They bring their foods. They bring their heritage. They bring their cultures. And then have like a space where they can talk about these things, because it doesn't get better. We will continue to perpetuate this system of hate if we don't start speaking out against the things that we feel. Yes, I know your experience is unique to you, but if we don't talk about it, we'll never come to a conclusion that this has to stop. And I feel like once we have that, maybe call it International Day, have it in a park somewhere. Let us experience what we're feeling. Jam out to some reggae, listen to some salsa, you know what I'm saying? Just take it to the